This concept of karma is one of the points where the Buddhist tradition differs very much from the Indian tradition. And it's the Indian tradition by means which people, in terms of which people most readily think when they consider, Eastern philosophy, because it's a theistical tradition and there's a certain amount of it already infused with Western worldview since the Renaissance, in fact, and especially since the 18th century. In the Indian view, there is this concept that what happens to you is karma. You must have done something because now this has happened to you. That is, when people think about the word karma, I think I'm right in saying that that's the dominant interpretation. And that is only possible if you believe in a universe that somebody invented. Somebody started the universe and they kind of wound up all the karma in the world like a kind of clockwork toy and put it into the world. And now it's unwinding. When all the karma is unwound, the universe will come to an end and we will all be back with whoever it was who invented the universe. Eventually that will happen. So that idea of karma as being stuff you have to go through in order to get where you are inevitably going, and the better you put up with it, the easier the journey will be getting there. That goes along with a certain worldview which is not Buddhist. So if you like that view of the universe, fine. If you believe but then you have to believe very much in a creator of the universe, someone who's in charge of the universe, and the sense that once you've discharged, once you've been through everything you have to go through, you'll be out of it, gone, out of the universe forever. You'll be one with the creator of the universe, whatever that means. That part of the story is inconceivable. It's mystical, and Buddhism is not a mystical religion. None of what I've just described is reflected in the Buddhist tradition. Whether it's reflected in the Buddhist tradition or not, it is still the kind of thing people tend to believe, even if they call themselves Buddhist, because it's superstitious thinking. Someone dropped their purse in the street, I picked it up. As I bent down to pick it up, somebody ran over my head with their car. It's all this happened to me. I wound up in hospital, then I fell in love with a nurse and she married me, and we're happy ever after. Whatever. All of this happened to me, must have happened for a reason. That's superstitious thinking, which is very typical of probably all but a very small percentage of people on Earth, I would say. No matter what, even if people call themselves Buddhist, that kind of thinking comes very naturally to people. Whatever the religion teaches, it's difficult not to help thinking that way when stuff happens to you. Where did this all come from? Especially when a lot of stuff happens to you. If a bird drops excreta on your shoulder, you think, oh well, too bad. If a whole lot falls on you at one time, you think, what is going on up there? You can't help thinking in those terms. Somebody must be responsible for this. I demand to know who it is. So, in Buddhist view, karma is not what happens to you, because everything is happening to people all the time. Stuff is happening all the time. And there is the superstition goes to the extent of saying that everything is karma. You must have heard this. Maybe people, people who say this even. Although actually most of the people who say it don't believe it, as I will explain. Buddhist, if I can leap into an alternate point of view, the Buddhist understanding of karma in terms of cause and effect, what is meant by that is that what you see is what you get. We live in a WYSIWYG universe. What you see is what you get. You know, if you see the wall as solid, then what you get is if you try to walk through it, you will hurt your head and bend your nose. You see it that way, then that's what you get. It also goes along that what you get is what you see. Like, if you tend to get pain from walking into walls, you tend to regard walls as solid, impenetrable things. You look on them that way. So what you see is what you get, and what you get is what you see. That's karma. It's more accurate when we say karma to speak in terms of karmic perception. We don't tend to say karma, but we do say karmic perception. In terms of how you see things and how you respond to them, that's karma. So what happens to you is not necessarily karma, but how you deal with it in terms of your habit, your method, how you are when you're at your best, how you are when you're at your worst, how you deal with it, that's karma. Because how you deal with it today influences how you'll deal with it tomorrow. The more you tend to deal with it a certain way, the more you tend to deal with it a certain way. It's habit.